Let's take a few minutes and create a template to make a set of portfolio pages. Now the portfolio page is going to consist of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, which is what I've got here on the screen already, a logo, and a set of images. And the difference between pages is just going to be which image is on the page. To start with, we need to put some guides out here so that we know where to place our text and where to place our images. In order to get to the guides, you have to show the rulers. You can see the rulers here. Now, how did I get to the rulers? I use the keyboard shortcut, which is Command or Control R, and you can see that I can turn the rulers off and on with the Command or Control R. Once the rulers are on, all I have to do is go up to the ruler with my cursor and pull a ruler down, or pull a guideline down. And I'm going to make my top guide, let's say 1.5 inches from the top. I'm going to put another guide 2 inches from the bottom. This is where my text is going to be baselined. And then I'm going to bring out 3 more guides. One is going to be an inch from the left. Another is going to be an inch from the right. That comes out to 7.5. And the final one is going to be right at the middle of the page at 4.25 inches. Now these guides kind of snap into where you need them, so it's not difficult locating those. All right, let's put our text down. I'm going to click on my text tool, and I'm just going to use the text cursor to go right to where the vertical line, the vertical center line, and the 2 inch from the bottom line intersect. And I'm just going to click right there. And then I'm going to type in my text for my logo. And we'll just say CHB photo, P-H-O-T-O. Now, to make this stand out a little bit, I'm going to take the photo part of it. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to make it a different color. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm just going to go up and click on my swatches panel over here, and I'm going to make that, let's say, a dark blue. Now I'll double click on the area in the swatches panel here so that I can collapse it and see the bottom of my layers panel. But all I have to do now is click enter, and you can see now that I've got my logo. Well, what if I would like to have a logo that has an image in it? In other words, the image is in the shape of the text. Can I do that? Yes, and I can do it very easily. Let's go over to the bridge, and I'm just going to click on the bridge icon here. And I'm going to click on this piece of wood right here because that's what I want in that logo. And I'm just going to say, all right, let's take that and let's place that in Photoshop. And of course, when I accept this, it places it into Photoshop as a smart object, like that. And all I have to do is click enter to accept the object. And now, since I want this to take the shape of the text, I need to move it down and cover the text with it. And the positioning is not that important right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my move tool, and I'm just going to take this down like that. Okay. In order to make it take the shape of the text and appear to be inside of the text, all I have to do is clip this layer to my text layer. To do that, I move my cursor to the line between the text and the image, and I hold down my Alt or Option key, and you can see it switches to that link symbol, and I click it, and there we are. Now, if I don't like the positioning of it, that's easy. Since I've got my move tool here, I just take the move tool and I can move around everything here. Now, the other thing that I want to do here, just to finish this off, is I want to go to the text layer, and I'm going to put a layer effect on there. And the one I'm going to use is stroke. I'm going to make sure that my color is black here. I'm going to put my position of the stroke on the inside. And for now, I think I'm just going to leave my stroke size at 3 pixels. So there we are. We now have a logo, and we have an image inside of that logo. Whoops, I'm moved the wrong thing there. I want to make sure that when I move that image around that I'm on the image layer. And you can see that I've got my image, and I can stress the photo here by making that lighter, or I can make them all dark. But let's just go in something like that. Okay, now let's get to the good part. Let's put the pictures in. Well, I'm going to go to the bridge again, and I'm going to select an image. And the one I'm going to select is this one right here, and I'm just going to go up to my File menu, and I'm going to place that in Photoshop. Again, it's going to come in as a smart object now, and I click OK. And I'm going to then take this image, and I'm going to hold down my Shift and my Alt or Option keys, and I'm going to grab the upper right hand corner, and I'm just going to bring it down so that it fits inside of the vertical guides, just like that. Okay, and now I'm going to move it up so that it snaps to the top guide. Now I can click Enter, and my image is there. A couple of things I want to do to this image. I want to put a drop shadow on it, and maybe a little bevel and emboss. So let's go in and we'll click on Layer Effects. We'll come up here to Drop Shadow, and now we'll make the angle 135 degrees. Okay, and I'm going to move this out of the way. Now, of course, I can change the distance by the slider up here in the panel, or I can just come down here and grab and put my image out like that, put the drop shadow out like that. I'm going to change the size to blur it out a bit, and then I'm going to come up and I'm going to make the opacity about 50%. Well, 51 is close enough. Okay, so there I am. There's my drop shadow. Now I want to put a bevel and emboss on here. I want an inner bevel. I want the technique to be, how about chisel hard? And I'm going to increase the size just a little bit here so that it just gives the impression that this is three-dimensional. All right. I click OK, and there is my basic image. So I would go and print this, and then when I want to replace an image, that's really easy. All I do is I go over here to my layer, I right click on my layer, or if you only have a one button mouse, control click on it, go down to Replace Contents. It gives me the dialog box. I go to the image I want to use to replace it with and just click on Place. There's the image. I'm going to accept it, and voila, there we are. Now, I'm going to do this one more time. Do it a little differently this time. Let's go up to Layer. We'll go down to Smart Objects, and we can see that we can replace contents here. Same command as before, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick a different image. All right. I've got a vertical image now. Well, let's see what happens. I'm going to click OK, and the image comes in. Now what happened is it placed the center of this image at the same spot that the center of the other image was. Well, that's not really good here because it puts the image too high. So what I can do is I've got two options. One is I could make one set of portfolio pages, or make one file for vertical images, and make another file for horizontal images, and then just place them however I want to work that way. Another thing, of course, that I could do is make a separate layer for vertical images and a separate layer for horizontal images. Well, I could do that too. Or the third thing I can do is, since I know that these are going to be placed at the center of the image, or at the center point of the image, I can take this image and bring it down to where visually it looks pretty good. Say right here. And let's just bring this guideline down, and it's going to snap into place at the center right there. Okay, so this is going to be my pivot point. My pivot point is, in this case, going to be about 4¼ inches down. and 4¼ inches in from the side. Cool. So if I want to replace this with a horizontal image, let's see what happens. I'll go in and I'll replace contents, and I'll pick a horizontal image here and place that, and there it is. So that's how I can do this. You have several options. You can basically make it look like whatever you want it to look like. But using smart objects and layers and layer effects, you can come up with a dynamic portfolio page.